shit's in the safe. Got me a spot out the way. Nigga just tryna be safe.
Let's get to the sports talk.
But it's this game that has the Maize and Blue Nation talking, and they've been talking to you at airports. They're talking to you about it. I'm sure if you get out and grocery shop, are you one of those guys that gets out there? They're talking to you.
I do my own grocery
You do your own shopping? All right.
I really do.
They're talking to you about this game, and they're talking about what this means to Jim Harbaugh. What does it mean in your eyes for Harbaugh?
Well, you talk about Jim Harbaugh, but it's not just about Jim Harbaugh. I mean, when I got to Michigan, we always stress it's about the team, the team, the team. And when I speak about the team, I'm not only speaking about the guys that are going to suit up tomorrow and play. I'm talking about the alumni. I'm talking about people who went to this school. I'm talking about the engineering students. I'm talking about people in the dental school. I'm talking about everybody. You talked about being out in the airport and grocery stores and people asking me, hey, are we going to finally do it this year? So we all are pulling for this team. So this
Everyone in Michigan is pulling for them to win this game because that's the dark cloud that's over Michigan. That's the dark cloud that's over Jim Harbaugh. He's not going to lose his job because they're still a winning program right now. They're just trying to win 10 games again. But it's just, if they can't win it today, it's going to keep hanging over them. That's what's holding this team back because in the back of their mind, we still ain't beat Ohio State. Hopefully this be the year for them to do it. But it's just like Ohio State have their number.
To me, this is global. It's not just about Jim. It's big for him, but this is about the entire Michigan family. We're counting on this tomorrow.
You know, I grew up in the 10-year war, and for everybody out there, the 10-year war, it was this. You had Woody Hayes, the legendary coach, and then his former assistant, Bo Schembechler, took over. I believe it was 69, and then they beat the Buckeyes when they were number one. And it was not a big game. That's where we got to clear the deck here. It wasn't a big game or a big week. This was a way of life. I just remember growing up in that time that you go to school, and I guess maybe I drank the Kool-Aid more than most, but Brady, you remember the state of Ohio. I mean, that's all that people talked about. And people say you can lose every game, but you have to win that one. I actually believe that. You know, I think as bizarre as that is, you have to. It's a very unique rivalry. The respect is immense. However, this is the world. This is not a big game. It's not a big week. And that's a question I have for you, Charles, is that I remember that 10-year war now. And I remember just the way the approach is in.
This is always going to be a big game. Because it's a statement game. The rights, they hold over each program. You win this, you have this team number every time. There's always going to be a big rival. Michigan versus Ohio, there's always a rival. In any sport, there's always going to be a rival. From basketball, soccer, hockey, baseball. Soccer, it's always going to be a rival. Any sport these two play in.
Columbus and really the state of Ohio, this is every day of the year. For example, you go on the recruiting board at Ohio State, no one else matters. You know every player that's being recruited by the team up north. You know everything. I study their workouts. I study what camps they're going to. And how about this? Every year during the season, I would have one coach constantly watching their film, and every Wednesday I'd go in there and check and see what they're doing offensively and defensively. So once again, we have to clear the deck. It's not a big game. It's not a big week. It's a way of life. And that's a question I have for you.
Coach.
Because some kids want to go play for their hometown school. Michigan don't recruit some players. They go to Ohio State to get revenge on them. Ohio State don't recruit no players. No recruits go over there to Michigan and get revenge on them. That's why this game matters so much. There's some players from Michigan that's from Ohio. There's some players from Michigan, it's Ohio State team. It's just always going to be a big game between these two because they each have players from their state on there. Because some don't get to go to the programs they want to go to. So they go to that program and get the revenge on the team that they recruit them. They wanted to get recruited back.
You're 100% correct, because what's ingrained in my mind is when Jim Tressel took over the job, he, in front of his students at a pep rally, he made clear that in 310 days that they were going to beat Michigan. Like, that to me sticks out to me. And I feel like over the past few years, I haven't heard that spoken loudly. You know what I'm saying? When I used to come, we would finish games when I was here at Michigan. I made sure that I tried to watch what Ohio State was doing. I needed to know what Terry Glenn was doing because I knew at the end of the season I was going to have to see him. I had to face him, and it was going to be a big game, and it was going to, there was going to be a lot at stake. So it was a way of life. You thought about it each and every day. It wasn't about all the other teams on the way to that game. It was about that game. Again, we expected to beat those other teams, but that team was always the measuring stick for us.
So it sounds like this is the biggest game of the season without a doubt for Michigan.
It's the game.
And I want to take it a step further. I think this is the biggest game of Jim Harbaugh's career at this point because Michigan fans want to know, can you beat Ohio State without Coach Urban Meyer?
That's the thing that's going to always play a part. When Urban Meyer was coaching them, Jim Harbaugh couldn't get the job done. Now it's Day there. If he loses to Ryan Day, they gonna look like, can you ever beat this team? Cause he still be coached for them, but they just gonna wonder when it comes time again, they have to play them. Can he beat this team? That's what holding him back so much because it's just this one team on his schedule that he can't beat. He can beat everyone else but this particular program.
Right? Are you worth the investment? Very similar to LSU beating Alabama for the first time this year. This game has national implications. So recruiting is on the line. You beat Ohio State today or tomorrow, then that five-star recruit at home is saying, you know what, I want to be a part of the new regime that takes on Ohio State year in and year out. Very similar to the reason why I committed to USC. I loved and saw the way that they beat Iowa in the Orange Bowl that year, and that meant something to me.
Perception is reality. And with Jim Harbaugh and Michigan, you just get the sense that the reality is they can't beat Ohio State only once in the last 15 years. So to me, this really sets up to be a defining moment both for Jim Harbaugh and Michigan to kind of turn the tide and turn the way everyone else out there feels about Michigan versus Ohio State, since that's the measuring stick, Matt.
Right, yeah.
And that's where I feel like this is so big. This game is so huge for them this year because, if not now, then when?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the game that's kept Michigan out of a Big Ten championship. And again, in this game, you're judged as a coach. And, Coach, you've been in this. You're judged by if you can beat Michigan or you can beat Ohio State. But I would just say in this matchup, this is the best quarterback Jim Harbaugh's had since he's been in Michigan. This is the best and most talented wide receiving group that he's had. I think a defense that's made the necessary adjustments, at least over the last month, that might be able to play on the same playing field as Ohio State's offense. So if not now, when is a perfect example, yeah.
I'll say this, though. This is an Ohio State program right now that is trending to be one of those generational type teams, the way.
Because Michigan want to be in a position that Ohio State is in. Compete for a playoff spot. Compete for the rights to play for a national championship. It's just they had to get past this team right here. The oriented to do that so they can have the confidence to be able to compete for a playoff spot. That's the only thing that's held them back for over 7 years. They only beat them one time in this era right here. They looking for another win so they can be able to get over this and be able to compete for a playoff spot and be like Ohio State and be competing for the national championship one of the years.
Things are working out, but
College football's fiercest rivals headline the biggest Big Noon Saturday on Fox. It all starts with a special 2-hour Big Noon kickoff live from the Big House. Then Fields and number 1 Ohio State face Harbaugh and number 13 Michigan in the most anticipated game of the year. America's best pregame, America's best announcers, America's greatest rivalry. Ohio State, Michigan.